not spoken in long speeches, but felt in every choice. You see it in the way they rise before the sun, in how they offer without asking, and how they love without needing to explain. These are the men who build nations with their backs turned, who lead from behind, who love through sacrifice. And tonight, we honor that silence by finally giving it a voice. Tonight, we are not just asking questions. We are holding space for two incredible men, two fathers, two leaders who carry the soul of the North in their presence. Please join me as I welcome Ali Nuhu. And Rabiu Rikadawa.
I have been called strong, but strength I have learned. It's not about being unshaken. It's about carrying the weight, even when no one asks how your back feels. This seat is rare. This moment is sacred. Because sometimes fathers too need space to breathe.
We didn't grow up with fathers who said much, but we knew when to sit, when to stand, when to leave the room. They didn't say, "I love you," but they walked till their hands cracked. And somehow we knew. Now it's our turn to speak, to remember, to teach differently.
In the North, tradition is not written, it is lived. It is passed from father to son with quiet reverence. And today we begin by asking, what is one principle of Northern fatherhood that you have received from your father? And how has that principle evolved over the years? That's going to be our very first question as we take our Samia to welcome you to the Father's Park with Tope. So we'll do like a mini cheers.
Okay.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Bismillah.
Did I try?
Inshallah.
Of course you
Of course you did.
Thank you very much. So I would like to know, I'll start with you, Rabiu.
No.
I'd like to know, what is one principle that you learned from your father growing up about fatherhood? And now as years have evolved and passed, how have you still carried that principle and modified it to still work for you in present day as a dad?
Yeah, I think one good principle I can say I inherited it from my father.
Yes.
My father is actually the strict type. He is this straightforward kind of a person. And of course, when we were growing up, most of my siblings, they kind of fear him if he's coming back to the house when they hear his voice. You know, that the normal, you know, when the father do, and the children begin to,
run,
begin to hide because they don't want him to see their face. He may like either query them or give them, punishment. But then I get to understand that, well, why should I fear him? He's my father. Highest he can do is to give me a task. And by the time you complete the task, you can come back to him and sit down with him. Of course, you can learn one or two things from him. Like I said, he's the straightforward kind of a person. And when I grow up, I become brutally frank to my children and my colleagues, my friends. Of course, You know, if you inherit something, he's kind of the kind of person that I can say is the straightforward kind of a person. But when I grow up, what I inherited from him is to be brutally frank. I will tell you the way it is. If you like, go and hang yourself. Don't tell you. So even with my children, I will tell them, oh, forget about what other children, what other your mates are doing, your friends in the school. And this is life. You know, is the brutal truth. It is, if you don't go this way, you will live to regret it.
Thank you.
So I still hold that.
Honestly, okay.
Well, okay, from my end,
Yes.
I found my father to be one person that is very emotional about his family.
Okay.
Yeah, he made us understand that as a man, you are the head of the family and you need to be concerned about everybody's problem. He had this, you know, very emotional feeling for just everybody in the family. And this is what I actually inherited from him. And in these times, it has really helped me because times have changed.
Yes.
The Gen Z, that's what we call them.
Yeah.
You know, when they relate with you, they turn you into their friend.
Yes.
If you're a kind of a parent that is accommodating. And that has gone a long way to create this very good bond between I and my children. They're free, they're very open to me, they open their mind. So they don't confide in their friends, they confide in me, even more than their mother. They do that to me. Some things they tell me, they don't tell their mother.
How does that
And
make you feel?
it makes me feel great because I just feel, because I'm a very busy person, I'm always away, I need to have that emotional connection with them.
With them.
Yeah, so that's what I actually inherited from my father.
Talking about emotional connections, people like to argue that men are not emotionally available. Now, talking about your father having an emotional connection, how would you say that you were able to tap into the emotional side? Would you say that you were very vocal about it, or did you hide your emotions?
Honestly, I don't hide my emotions. I'm very vocal about it. And because I feel if you hide things, they create problems. But when you address them, bring them to the table, address them in a matured way that everybody can understand,
Yes.
then it's a case of live and let's live. Everybody is happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how I've been handling it.
Okay. Now, our next questions, you're going to pick random numbers from inside here. I'll start with you. So you have to turn yes. Take one number.
Should I use it?
Yes. What do we have? 10. Okay, 10. What kind of man do you hope your son becomes?
I was saying my father was very strict.
Yes.
Actually, when I grow up, when I have my children, I was telling you the other time that when my father was coming back home, my other siblings would run away.
Yes.
But like I said, I never
Run away.
at all. So I actually bring them close because I don't want them to have problems like my other, because I can tell you some of my siblings now, they're still regretting it because I don't want my children to regret it as well. So I bring them close. It's just like him. You know, we actors actually, we hardly stay with our families. So whenever we are back at home,
Yes.
you understand, the children runs to you. Particularly for somebody like me, he lives in Kano. In fact, he sometimes stays at home more than I do. I live in Kaduna, and of course, you know, the hub of the industry is in Kano. So in some cases, I stay like 1 month in Kano without coming back to Kaduna.
Oh, wow.
Maybe from Kano, I sometimes go straight to Abuja for production and things like that. So by the time I'm back home, they actually run close to me. In fact, they tell me those things that they cannot even tell their mother. Even not only the male children,
The
you know,
females
including the female, they are the closest to me. So, like one of my son now, you know, he was like, say, if I am away, he will sit on the very position I used to sit in the house keep the remote in his hands, eat the way I eat and things like that. He will be telling them he's the youngest, but he will tell them that he's daddy today. Yes, he's the man in the house, of course. You understand? He wants to be like me, and of course I give them the opportunity to be whatever they want to become. You understand? I give them the encouragement. You understand? I sometimes invite my friends, my childhood friends, who are lecturers in some in Kaduna State University, some in Kaduna Polytechnic. You understand? They come into the house and we begin to discuss in their presence. We'll discuss our childhood in their presence, all the hurdles and how we become what we have become today. Yeah. You understand? Yes, so when my friend leave, tomorrow or next, when we sit down, I'll begin to ask them, did you hear what that my friend was saying already? Did you see what he become, what he has become today? Yes. You understand? Yes, sir. And do you remember what he said when we, listen, just for them to give them a lesson indirectly, you understand? So I said, okay, if you want to become what you want to become, be yourself. And of course, apart from me, I have my friends who are lecturers who are readily available for counseling and things like that.
That is amazing.
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
That's it.
Question 4.
Yep.
Okay. How should a young father in the North approach love, work, and legacy in his generation?
That's an interesting one. Well, these things depend on who you are as a person.
Yes.
But from my point of view, I feel, yes, you should be very dedicated to your job, but you shouldn't forget the fact that there's this responsibility that lies on you to cater for the family, have time for them, because that's the only way you can be able to, raise very intelligent ones. Secondly, well-cultured kids. Because if the children lack that, care and attention, there'll definitely be a gap. If they don't learn from you, they go outside to learn just from anybody. So I feel, a father should be that man that makes sure that he gives time to his family, he gives time to his job, equal time in, just so you don't lose it because you concentrate more on your job and don't have time for your family. Some do. They come back home very late. In the mornings, they leave very early. They don't get to see their children. They don't have time to sit with them. They don't have time to discuss. And this is partly responsible for the decay in, the behaviors of children in the society presently. So I feel that's how a father should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Rabiu.
Come, is this how we'll be picking this thing on time?
No. I told you we just
because my hand
two
cannot
questions.
enter.
No, so you just turn it.
So shall I take like 5 so I can finish them?
Okay. He said 2.
He said like 5. 1 is special number. Okay. Let me have you take your own before.
Okay.
7. Okay, let me keep it here. 1. What has fatherhood revealed about your emotional life that you never knew before?
Yes, I think it's patience.
Okay.
Patience. Some of the things I did when I was growing up as a father, I get to understand that I don't even need to push hard to really achieve them. I now come to realize that, with kind of gentleness and advice, you will achieve it. With patience and advice to your wife, to your children, to your neighbors, colleagues around, you understand? Until this moment that I'm speaking to you, the Gen Z that we're actually talking about, they try to get bothered about things that they shouldn't be bothered about. You understand? they get to say, when I was growing up, I get to understand that, oh, I shouldn't do this because people will talk. If I do this now, somebody, how, if I dress this way, or if my children goes out this way and things like, I remember when I was, when I had like 3 children, I was riding motorbike, motorcycle. It was on a Saturday. I actually carried my wife and 2 of my children here, and I'm carrying at the back seat, and she's carrying the baby. Or if somebody like say, I rege chiki, I say motor, that I should save and buy car instead of this thing. You understand? I was so furious. Why should he talk to me this way and things like that? But later I get to understand that all those small things that you think people will say, nobody is even talking about it. No, who even cares about your life?
Definitely.
You understand? So now you get to realize that you don't even need to bother. Just be yourself. You know yourself better than any other person.
Anybody.
You know what you want to achieve. So be focused on, on what you want to achieve in your life.
Now, for the young man watching, or maybe not the young man, but for a father watching, whose son is anxious to make so much, or because his friends are from a wealthy family, or because his friends have had the opportunity to make money quick, how can you advise him, or what can you tell him to just help him center himself, or center his son, or be able to counsel his son about how to go through this phase of desires?
Well, you counsel or whatever, you guide your children from the onset. You don't have to wait until your children get to, adulthood before you begin to like say, I must kind of, put him through this and that. You need to start from the onset. When you start from the onset, like I've said, at whatever stage, whatever age they reach, if they are doing something and you ask them, stop it, don't go that way, he will not even question you. He will not even ask why. Because he believed in you right from childhood. Mm-hmm. You understand? But sometimes the mistake is you allow your child to do whatever he wants to do with friends, on the street, in the school and things like that. And when he grows up, maybe by the time he actually, establish his own family, you begin to say, don't do this. You suffer. He will not stop you. The only person that will advise him is his wife. You understand? So as a father, you don't have to relent. Start it early. Start it early. Start training them on how you want, mold them the way you want it. There's this adage in Hausa that says, "Iche tinyana danyi aki tankwarashi." You know what I'm talking about? Yes, that if you want to bend, if you have a wood that you want it curved, you understand? You don't just find a dry, wood and say you want to curve it. No. You have to curve it from when it's afraid. When you cut it from the mother tree, you begin to curve it. It will take whatever shape you want it to take. But by the time it's so dry up and so you want to, it will break. Yes.
Very true.
So you have to start early.
Early.
You don't have to. Sometimes I laugh at parents that come out with their children and they begin to shout, hey, stop it. What I do? All sorts of. You don't need to shout. You don't need to shout. Just look at your child. He knows that I don't want this.
That look.
That look. You don't have to shout. Come out with your child. Go anywhere you want to. If he's doing something that is bad, just look. You don't even need to frown. That eye contact, I swear to God, he will understand you don't want that thing. He will change it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Question
7, right?
7. Okay. How do you show affection in a culture where men are often expected to be stoic?
In a culture like ours,
yes.
I know men are expected to be strict and highly principled because they run the show when it comes to family. But then how I do it, my own style of doing it is right from when they were young. I play with them, but they know when it is time to draw the line. You don't cross it. Like Nuhu Rabiu Rikadawa said, that eye contact. My children, when they were crawling, when they crawl to a certain object, before they touch it, they turn to look at me. My reaction will tell whether they will touch that thing or not.
Or not.
That's how it's been. But as they were growing up, I started noticing what was their preferences, both of them. And those things that were their preferences, for instance, the younger one, he was so much into cartoon. So I usually take him to where, like the video shops as at then, to buy cartoon for him. So that made him very comfortable with me because he feels I'm the one that gives him what he wants. He sees a bicycle, I'll go get it for him. Or I'll tell him, no, we're not buying it now. But when it's time, I'll buy it for you. For the girl, she's an introvert, she doesn't talk. I ask her mother, and her mother communicates whatever she wants to me. That's how I started. Now, when it came to career choice in their life, I let them do what they have passion for. For instance, my son is seriously into football, and he said he wants to be a footballer. So I said, okay, fine. Pass your exams. When you're done with SSC, I promise you, I'll take you to an academy. And he thought I was taking him to an academy in Lagos or Abuja or even Kano. But I took him to the UK.
Amazing.
He was shocked. He never thought, when I said, we're going for your visa interview, you're going to an academy in the UK. He couldn't believe it, you know. For my daughter, her career choice was fashion design. I said to her, fine, fashion design, it will just take you 6 months to do a course, and you can be a fashion designer. Because she's very good in drawing, she sketches designs, of different kind of clothes. So I said to her, what I want you to study is I want you to do a professional course. She now sat down and decided she wants to be international relations, which I encouraged her, and she studied. She's now 7.
Wow.
Yes, so I told her, okay, when you're done 7, you go do that your course on fashion designing. And as you're doing that course on fashion designing, I want you to start a small-scale entrepreneurship in that clothing line, you know? So these are the ways I encourage them, and these are the little things that make them confide in me, feel very free, you know, to discuss things with me. Unlike mothers, you know, sometimes their mothers, they will smack them. I have never smacked any of my children right from when they were young up until today. The first child is 21 years old, and the second child will be 19 in May.
Wow.
I have never, but if I tell them to sit down,
yes,
they will sit down.
I think I've smacked my child once, you know, the male child. He's the first male child. Okay. And you know, men, actually my first and second children were all female. You know, we sit down, we relate, we talk with G's and things like that. Then the third one came, actually. When he get to the age of 3, that's the age I call the terrible 3. He began to destroy everything in the house. I didn't know that he destroys everything in the house. I was like, why is this one different? He said, no, that's how a male child is.
Wow.
Because the girls were gentle.
Okay, let me just manage him the way he is. But when he actually grows, I think in around S2 or thereabout, I actually asked him, give him the money to go and recharge for the cable in the house. And the bouquet, I am actually subscribing. I gave him the money to go and do it. He subscribed the lesser kind of.
He had his way.
He didn't know. He didn't know that. He didn't know that I would see it. So when I come back now, I saw this thing. I have less station. Why is this so now? I say, but why is it? He say, that is how it is. I said, but how can it be so? I now say, go and tell the person that
it was wrong.
All the channels I actually
subscribe
for are not. He said, yes, you go. He always come back and tell me that the man is not around. So one day I was just passing by the shop.
No.
See, look, the other time, the stations I subscribe, you say, the boy say I should do
a lesser subscription.
I say, okay. He even opened his sales book and showed me the amount, the debt, and everything. I said, okay, when I come back home, I gather everybody. I say, I have a meeting today. And explain to them, oh, this is what happened. I mean, I say, is that what happened? He say, yes. I say, well, then why? Why? Honestly, that was the day I knew I slapped him, and they all see it. So everybody was back to his shell. From then on up till this moment, I actually never touch anybody, and they know, and they still give example that if you dare do something, Daddy will slap you the way he slapped Alamin. So he's not he's not ashamed of himself. Even his younger ones were like,
yes, that is a point of reference, of course.
You know, sometimes you just need to set example.
Yes. Yeah. But that was a very solid example, because that would be a sound lesson to him to not try, because the way he said that, I just remembered when I was with my grandparents, and how my grandfather would tell me to come and do something on his phone, and I'd be like, it's not like you know what I'm doing, so you want to do, and then you now remember that even if he doesn't know, God knows what you're doing, and then you correct yourself. So yes, I'm sure that there was a sound lesson.
Yeah, because I told them that whatever thing you need, I am not stinkingly rich, but whatever thing you need, come to me, come and tell me.
Tell me, and that's it.
My first daughter, she used to come like, Daddy, give me money, I want to buy. I say, no. Stop asking me for money to buy something. Money is not meant for you to spend. Money are meant for me and your mother to spend. Whatever thing you need, tell me to buy it for you. Don't ask me for money to go and buy. When she was growing up. You understand? When she was a kid, you understand? So that's how I taught them. And as they grow up now, of course, if you need something, come to me, talk to me, I'll give you. Definitely. You understand? That's and of course, you know, as you know, sometimes at month end or weekends, you see the bigger ones, you try to give them like something just to keep, apart from recharging the, putting, airtime and the data in there, you try to give them one or two things at least, so that they won't ask a friend out there for something,
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so our final and closing question, same question. What is one value that a young Nigerian man right now, a young Nigerian father, should never lose? I'll go with you first.
Should never lose?
Yes, one value that a young father of now should never lose.
Well, you see, my line is straightforward. You have to actually be yourself. Don't even lie to you, not even your wife or your children. You understand?
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Right. So, from my point of view, talking about family, and one thing every father should envisage to do is to see that the integrity of that family is not affected in any way. Sometimes you might inconvenience yourself to, make sure that you don't lose that integrity, because your entire family looks up to you. So if you fail them, it's a big problem for everybody. That might even make them lose confidence. So that's one thing I always look at. For instance, growing up as a young man, I had time, to live a rough life. I was celebrated, people started celebrating me right from when I was around 25 years old. I was pretty young. But I just said to myself, look, I need to be responsible. Let me get married, settle down, instead of, beginning to be a playboy in the society. Because that, at the long run, will affect your family status. The family you come from and the one you intend to build. So after becoming a father, like I just mentioned earlier, my children are all grown up. I can't be seen anywhere messing around, because the whole thing will go back to them, especially in an era where you have the social media. Before you know it, everything just goes out, and it's a problem for everybody. So the family integrity matters a lot for any young father. We all need to be very conscious of that.
I'm glad that you talked about integrity, and I know I was going to wrap up, but we need to touch on that. We need to touch on integrity. Now, for fathers or young men watching, times have changed. Not everybody wants to get married. And you see how you also talked about getting pretty famous at a young age. I want you to talk to men watching on how to, maybe not even fame, but how you manage to balance and have a sense of self and a self of control. Because some people have been exposed to wealth, may not have been born into it, but are now exposed to a level of wealth. And some things come with the process of going through life. You need someone to guide you on how to manage these things. So can you just give like a word or two to a young man watching now on how in the times of everything being loud and being all over the place, how you can find your quiet and how you can just center yourself?
Well, personally, I feel the way you can be able to achieve that is for you as an individual to get control of yourself, one. Definitely, if you're in the limelight, there's every possibility that you misbehave, you talk to people anyhow, you mismanage the resources you get because you want to feel among, you want to be talked about. So you need to have that control of yourself, know your limits when it comes to doing things, and take it or leave it. Some people, when they become very famous and popular, they feel no one can talk to them, no one can tame them. You need to have that team that can tame you. You might fight too, abuse each other indoors.
Yes.
But when you sit down, you realize that these people are telling you the truth. So just go for the truth, Don't say, okay, these people are they are limiting
Me.
They are limiting me. They don't want me to do some of the things I want to do. Let me just leave this group of people, go get new group of people. No, it's always the same story every time, unless you come across somebody that wants to deceive you, who is not being real with you. So the thing is, one, you need to know your limits. Definitely know your limits and calm down. Because there'll be a time when you grow up that you realize that you've made these mistakes. We all make mistakes in a way or the other. Growing up as an actor, there was a time it was very difficult for producers to approach me and work with me.
Why?
Why? Because most of them were so scared of me. They say, I'm hot-tempered, I don't listen, I'm this. So at a point in time, I said, probably these people are telling me the truth, because so many people cannot be complaining about me, on the same issue. I sat down and I did a counseling on my own. And along that line, because I didn't study anything to do with filmmaking, so I had to go and do a sort of a capacity building, do some courses on filmmaking. And that's where I imbibed that culture of discipline and understood that, okay, fine, the director calls the shots. You have to listen to the director, whoever that person is. That person could be your senior, the person could be your junior, it could be your contemporary. Once you're on that set, that person is in control. You can't shout at that person. If the person shouts at you, you have to be the small child,
Yes, sir.
But then later, when you're done shooting, you could settle those differences.
Yes.
So those things really helped me, to pass through that stage of my career. So for me, that's my advice. One needs to be, very calm. One needs to calculate before they do things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, we have heard the echoes of legacy tonight. Gentle voices, strong truths. The North has always been proud, but pride doesn't mean we stop growing. To every father watching, your presence is powerful, but your vulnerability is even more valuable. We're not asking you to change your ways. We are simply inviting you to come closer. Closer to your sons, closer to your daughters, closer to your own healing. If this has moved you, watch it again. Share it with another father. Sit with your brother and talk about it. Because this is the Father's path, and it was made for you. Thank you so much for coming. I really had a great time. That is our final cheers to our show. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Kano State and Kaduna.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful, so honored to have you here. This Samia was amazing. If this moved you, please watch it again. Share with another father. Sit with your brother and talk about it. Because this is the Father's Path, and it was made for you. Please don't forget to subscribe to Tope TV. Watch all the episodes. There's so many things to learn. And don't forget to drop a comment. I'll be in the comment section waiting. Until next time, do take care of yourself, and goodbye.